Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of our Player of the Week show. This is going to be week number 3. Even though there's a lot of teams out there across the country that might be in week 4, week 5. We just go off week 3 because we're in Louisiana, and that's where Louisiana starts their season. But as our third Player of the Week show, I'm Jace and Nick alongside Nick Mautone. Nick, another great week, and I just looked at the top 10. It just keeps on getting better and better each time we do it. And in fact, if you look and go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com, or honorable mentions, that might be the best honorable mention list we've seen this year. So there are actually a lot of performances that could have easily been top 10 performances on this list. So, Nick, another show, getting ready to do it. I'm very excited to see where we're about to go with this list, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yep, so we're going to go right to it. So this is going to be our top 10. You can go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com, for all the honorable mentions. Now, we'll kick off with some defense, Nick, at number 10.
Yeah, at number 10, we have Carter Hanberry, the Dutchtown linebacker.
Dutchtown's defense has been just rock solid all year long. I believe they've been posting a couple shutouts, and they did it again. They had a shutout last week. They did a shutout the week before, too. In this one, it was a very impressive shutout over Covington, a Covington team that we've seen some players of the week on this list before. 38-0 over Covington. That was a statement win for Guy Mestretta's team. And the guy that led that defense in that 38-0 shutout was Carter Hanberry. We'll get his stats at linebacker for the Griffins. 4 solo tackles, 3 assists, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 1 fumble recovery. He was just all over the field on Friday night. What do you think about that performance?
I think that's a pretty solid performance. He was helping out in all aspects, getting to the quarterback, takeaways, bringing down the ball carrier. He's just all over the field, and that's what you like to see. Now, we have another defensive player coming in at number 9. We have Tioga safety Ja'Cory Norris.
Yeah, we're starting off the list strong with defense, right? I mean, it's a point that we're trying to make. It's not just the quarterbacks and the running backs. We like to mention the defensive guys as well, especially if you're Ja'Cory Norris and you post a stat line like this one. 5 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles, so 8 tackles on the night, but that's not what gets him at number 9. What gets him at number 9 is what he did as a ball hawk. 3 interceptions, Nick. He was a ball magnet. And not only he had 3 interceptions, but he made plays after that. 2 interceptions were returned for touchdowns. So 2 of the 3 were returned for touchdowns, and they needed that in a 35-0 win over Pineville. So, hey, I mean, if they would just gotten to 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns, Tiger would have won the ball game regardless. Even that was the only score in the night. So, big night for Ja'Cory Norris.
That's right. Now we head to the offensive side of the ball and to the state of Mississippi for Hancock running back Zach Gullum.
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, as we're going to continue to mention, we are spreading nationally. So we're going to get more and more teams, not just Louisiana, that involve a Gridiron Football Player of the Week. In fact, a Texas kid was our Gridiron Football Player of the Week last week. But we go to Mississippi with Zach Gullum from Hancock High School. He had 25 carries, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and he showcased what he can do as a receiver. He had 2 catches, but both of them went for touchdowns for 74 yards. So a 4-touchdown performance for Hancock High School as they beat Pell High School 46-7 this past week. So we go back to Louisiana, Nick, for number 7.
Yeah, coming in at number 7, we have Jasper Parker, the Shaw running back.
Big win for Hank Tierney and the Archbishop Shaw Eagles for what they're able to do. They defeated Archbishop Rummel this past week, a big rivalry game. And for Archbishop Shaw to make a statement in a rivalry game, defeating Shaw 43-28, big win for Coach Tierney and their team, Coach Lowe, and their whole program. The guy that led the way was the MVP. What made this happen was Jasper Parker, and he's our list at number 7. 20 carries, 171 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Did it in a rivalry game, could be a momentum changer, a momentum swing for the Eagles when they're trying to have a special season this year. They'll look at this game as far as a moment that really catapult them to having a really good season. So congratulations, Jasper Parker, for making our list.
Yeah, and we go all the way up to Alaska for number 6. We have the Seward High School running back, Cupono Albino.
Man, we go all the way up to Alaska with this one. That's impressive, huh, Nick? Very impressive. But, hey, I mean, they play football up there in Alaska, too. So it's not just about the Eskimos up there, right? They play football up there. So let's see. Cupono, he had 16 carries, 258 yards. Wow. 4 touchdowns. Also added a 2-point conversion to that tally as well. And then on defense, he got involved on defense. He played both sides of the football for Seward, Alaska. 9 tackles, 2 TFLs. Offense, defense, Cupono, he is their guy for Seward, Alaska, and had himself a great football game. And the final score of that, they won 34-18 against their rival, too. So it was a rivalry game against Nickasiki. So we go up to number, I believe, or top 5.
Number 5, yeah. Coming in at number 5, we have Texas A&M commit Gabe Relaford, the Evangel defensive end.
Yeah, you're right, Nick. So we got our first Power 5 Division I commit, and that's Gabriel Relaford from Texas A&M. He just committed to the Aggies, covering LSU. I know LSU's trying their hardest to try to flip him, but right now he's committed to the Aggies, and right now the Aggies, they got themselves a really dominant player on the defensive side of football, one of the top players in Louisiana. He showcased that in the game this past week in a 34-12. They did lose, I believe, to Westgate, but he made it tough for Westgate, I got to say that. So he had 13 total tackles, 10 solo, 3 assists, but he was all over in the backfield. I think he pretty much rented an apartment in the backfield. That's just how much he was there. 6 TFLs, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles for Gabriel Relaford. He was pretty much unblockable that night, for sure. Now we go back to number 4, back to an offensive player.
That's right. Coming in at number 4, we have Homer running back Gregory Williams.
Gregory Williams, if you say, what's going to be a performance like Gabe Relaford when he was pretty much dominant on the defensive side of the football? Well, you got to be pretty good on the offensive side of the football to beat that. And that's what Gregory Williams did for Homer High School. 275 yards rushing. Wow, that's a lot of yards. That's a lot of yards. 5 touchdown runs, too. So it wasn't just the yards that impressed us, but he also played some defense. 10 tackles, a fumble recovery. So he had himself a pretty busy night. He plays for a 1A Power at Homer High School. They went to the state championship game last year. Defeated General Trask, too, in doing so, 55-38. And a big reason for their big win for Coach Richie Casey and Homer was the play of Gregory Williams. 275, 5 touchdowns, and also add 10 tackles. So we got ourselves a pretty good list so far right now as we head to our top 3.
We do, and we have a pretty solid top 3. Coming in at 3rd is Opelousas Catholic quarterback Mark Collins.
Yeah, Mark, this is crazy to think about, but this is our first quarterback that made our list, and he's at number 3. We actually have a lot of great quarterback play in our honorable mentions, so go check out our honorable mentions on our website, gridironfootballusa.com. But the quarterback that stood out to us the most from the list was Mark Collins from Opelousas Catholic, what he was able to do. They won the game 46-0 against Port Barry, and he pretty much scored everything for Opelousas Catholic. Had 119 yards rushing, 251 yards passing, 370 total yards of offense, and then 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns from Mark Collins. I think he scored pretty much everything that night for Opelousas Catholic. Big win for the Vikings, and Mark Collins, he was a touchdown machine that night. We go to our top 2. It's a unique situation, number 2.
It's very unique because we actually have 2 players who play the same position for the same team, and combined, they had a great performance. They had great individual performances on their own, and both, would be worthy of a top 10 spot possibly, but combined, they're going to come in at number 2. We have the Lakeview running backs, Caleb Collins and Omarion Peer.
Yeah, you just mentioned it, Nick. I mean, their stat lines were so impressive that for Coach Andy Boone and Lakeview, we just had to combine both of them. Now, one of them was on our list last week I believe it was Omarion, I believe, last week. One of them was on the list last week. But anyway, we decided, hey, let's have both of them join the party in our top 10 and both of them be on here. So Caleb or Marion, they both made number 2. I couldn't really tell the difference between the two because of look at how even their stat line was.
Very similar.
Caleb Collins had 12 carries, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, had 2 2-point conversions, and Omarion had 11 carries, 271 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 2-point conversions, accounted for 30 points. So at 7 touchdowns between the two. That is over like 500 yards rushing between the two. 5 2-point conversions.
And only 23 carries, too, is crazy. They were averaging, upwards of 25 yards a carry.
Final score, Lakeview 58, Northwood Lena 12. And we mentioned about Coach Andy Boone and what he's trying to bring. He had a bunch of players in our top 10 last year when he was the head coach at Voiles. Now he's at Lakeview, trying to bring that same model over there, a power running game. And Andy Boone, if it were up to him, he would keep the ball the whole game. He has an onside kick. He doesn't punt. He goes for 4th down every single time. So if it were up to him, the offense will have the football 48 minutes. And man, what a game for both those two running backs. They got themselves a pretty dynamic duo in the backfield with Collins and Pierre.
They do. That's just ridiculously impressive to have 2 guys go for almost 300 yards on the same team in the same game.
So but go to number 1, right?
We're going up to number 1. We have the St. Martin's running back, Harlem Berry.
And this is a guy me and you saw in a jamboree against Newman earlier this year. So our Gridiron Football Player of the Week this week is Harlem Berry from St. Martin's Episcopal. It was a matter of time for Harlem to be on this list. Last year, as I believe as a freshman last year, he was pretty much on our list, our top 10. Week in, week out, every single week. Actually, it was a sophomore year, so this is his junior year coming up. But he's one of the top running backs in the entire country. You name him, they've offered him. He is just so elite. Next year's going to be a loaded class in Louisiana for running back, and he's one of the top guys. He can run up to about 4.3 40. He is super, super fast, and he showcased that speed in their past game against, a 58-28 win over Riverdale. And, wow, what a stat line. There's a reason why he is number 1, and it's because of this stat line. 16 carries, 221 yards, 5 touchdowns rushing. Now, that's not it. He had 3 catches, 106 yards, 2 more touchdowns, and then he had 4 tackles on defense, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. So a 7-touchdown night for one of the top running backs in the country, Harlem Berry. Just give Harlem Berry the ball, and you see what happens. He only touched the ball, 19 times? He scored 7 of those 19 times. So, very impressive performance. Harlem Berry, as a sophomore last year, was pretty much on the list every single week. And finally, Harlem, there you go. You're finally our number 1 performer for Gridiron Football. So, congratulations to Harlem. Congratulations to Kevin Dizer as well for appreciate him putting in the submission. And Harlem Berry, one of the top running backs in the country, of course, is our Gridiron Football Player of the Week for week number 3. What do you think about this list, Nick?
I think it's a great list. A lot of great performances, crazy video game stat lines as always. And congratulations to all the top 10, all the honorable mentions. And be looking forward to your performances this week too.
Yep, you can read more about not only the honorable mentions but the top 10 performers. That there's going to be an article along with the video too, so you can have either one if you want to watch the video or read the article, or do both. Might as well do both. Go to gridironfootballusa.com. So if you just a recap, Juwan Johnson was our Player of the Week last week. Week 1, and then we had a kid from Westwood High School as well. He was our Player of the Week for week 2. Yep. And then now we're back to Louisiana. So it's Louisiana week 1, Texas week 2, and now back to Louisiana Week 3. So great list, Nick. 3 shows down. We got a couple more left to go. Still early in the season. And if you're a coach that's watching this show, make sure to turn in your submission at the end of the week. I'm going to give y'all probably another day too. So I'm going to extend the deadline. Instead of Sunday at midnight, submissions are going to be Monday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So make sure you turn in your submission by then. So any final thoughts, Nick, before we wrap up?
I don't have anything. Just congratulations to everyone on the list.
All right, guys. Sounds good. It was a great show. Appreciate you having the show, hosting the show with Nick again. For Nick Mautone, I'm Jace and LeJeune. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com, for all you need to know for what's going on. Football all the time is what we say. So appreciate y'all, guys. Enjoy y'all football weekend. And we'll see y'all next week on the Gridiron Football Player of the Week show.